Hello everyone. Hope you're doing well. Welcome to Splunk Trust Community session. Today I'm going to talk about reverse engineering built-in Splunk tables. Hi, I'm Nikit Miller, Splunker for over 7 years now. 4 years I've been active contributor to Splunk Answers. For the past 3 years I've been a Splunk Trust member and about 3 months as sales engineer at Splunk. This is my first Splunk Trust Summit. And as hobby, I like clicking photographs and playing tennis. Enough about me. Let's talk about Splunk tables. Splunk table is fairly powerful out-of-box solution. So you don't treat it as some monotonous reporting aid where you dump all the data you can. It's got formatting option. It's got heat map overlay and powerful drill down capabilities, mostly through UI or really simple XML. But we are always hungry to do more, right? And that's why today's session. I feel visualizations can do all the things that we can imagine it to do. And in the end, Splunk table is just a visualization. So I'll put you with these quotes, put your imagination hats on, and let's go into the agenda for today's session. Today we'll look at some of the Splunk resources to extend the power of Splunk tables while making it look impressive. We'll dive into some CSS extension. Think of them as your car decals, and then we will understand simple XML JS extension, which are more like the NOS boosters for your car's performance. Enough talk. Let's dive into the demo. We know that Splunk tables can do a lot. It gives you option to color cells. It gives you option to overlay as heat map. It gives you spark lines. You can read about all of these things in various documentations. You can read the documentation around what you can do from UI or what you can do from the simple XML. I'm actually going to talk about first example here. Uh, First three spark lines, if you see the line, bar, and the street, are Splunk supported, but then there are more. There is boxplot, there is tri-state, pi, and bullet. While all of them may not be that useful, I just want to talk about tri-state. It gives you a similar view like bar or discrete, but it gives you win, loss, and draw kind of information where if you've got anything going negative, it will also show you negative value in a different color. It gives you neutral, zeros, and it gives you positive values as green. Another cool feature is box plot. If you just hover over any of this, you would notice that it gives you statistical calculation. For example, Splunk D has got in total 26 to 60,000 events, and it's given you median, lower quartile, and other stuff. So I find them very useful. But then these are out of the box. What we would want to know is what else can we do with table? And one of the places to start this is Splunk dashboard examples app from Splunk base. Now this app has got one exclusive section for table elements. What I want you to notice in this app is some of the examples have got this extension tab while others don't. The examples which don't show extension app are core capability of Splunk tables. The other ones allows you to extend the table using JS and or CSS. For example, you can highlight a table row, you can perform a table row expansion, and once you expand a table row, you can see another visualization inside it. So it's a good place to start off table extensions, and this is where I started my journey also. Second thing I want you to see is Splunk's style guide, which is this particular URL in any of the Splunk's deployment. It gives you a lot of style guides. We are focused on table. For example, how do you color alternate rows as gray and white? Similar to that accordion view where you can actually create an expansion kind of view. How do you create that layout? So this kind of examples are there. As we move along, we will also look at some things with color and icons, right? So let's go to the first topic, which is Splunk table CSS extension. As you would notice in the table here, on the left is the built-in Splunk table. On the right is the one with CSS extension where we have applied some of our styles. Earlier, if I was supposed to give you a repository for where to learn this from, there would have been a bunch of stuff. But thanks to clarification, now there is one place where you can get all information around how to do a simple XML CSS extension for your dashboards. So it actually gives you how to pick a particular DOM element, apply CSS style for the same. We will also look at the same thing shortly. What I want you to notice in the links is something called a CSS Selector reference. Understand this entire dashboard as one big DOM element where similar to our logs, a lot of elements have come together and built this particular dashboard. Now, similar to how we do regex to find patterns in the document or the elements, we use selectors in CSS or jQuery to identify any of these nodes. So let's right click on any of these nodes or elements and click on inspect. We see that this particular element is a table cell called TD, which is part of table row, a part of table body, which is inside a table. When I hover over this, it highlights which particular section I am trying to look at. So we know that the third or the last cell is the one where I have to apply this extra formatting for the div so that it looks like a button, not just a flat table cell. So what you would notice is there is something called a border radius, which is applied here through my own CSS style override. I have just copy pasted the code. This is what has been applied in this particular dashboard, and it makes it look like a button rather than the normal flat cell. So this is how we apply table CSS extension. I'll move on to the next one, which is more important topic, how to do a JS extension. Splunk dashboards, there are two types of dashboards that I'll be talking about today. There is a beta dashboard as well, but it's a completely new unified framework. I'll be talking about simple XML and HTML dashboards. Now, simple XML dashboards have got these extensions that can be CSS or JS, which allows you to access Splunk JS stack, which is internally connected through JavaScript, Backbone, jQuery, and Require.js. HTML dashboard allows you to do it directly within the dashboards, but then once you convert your dashboard from simple XML to HTML, you lose a lot of features of simple XML and may not be able to revert it back. So virtually whatever you can do with HTML dashboard is also possible with simple XML dashboard as well. There are a lot of references that are attached here for Require.js, Backbone.js, jQuery, Splunk.js stack, and even _JS. Similar to what we had seen just now for CSS Selector, there is a jQuery selector as well. Again, exact same concept where you have regex kind of pattern to identify an element or a group of elements where you want to take control of. Now, this one can be applied for styling as well as modifying. So let's see one of these examples. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4 tables here, and I am actually going to query a word which is present in all these tables or most of these tables. That is Splunk. if you notice in the source type, wherever Splunk is present, it's highlighted as red. If Splunk is not present, it's not highlighted. Let me take another example and I'm selecting web. So let's just right click this and see and inspect what is happening. You'll notice in this particular cell, Splunk is a regular text, but then uh, web has been added as a bold font with red color text. How did it happen is through this JavaScript file where we iterated through all the tables by identifying a table view, which is coming from Splunk.js stack. And then we applied our own CSS, our own jQuery extension, right? So this is our own renderer. And in the renderer, what we are trying to do is regex based pattern match for the text that we are trying to filter. And we are ourselves inserting a bold red color font for the pattern that has been matched. So this is how this query, this JS extension is working, and it's getting applied to all the tables. Once we understand the concept of CSS and JS extension, we can do a lot with table. For example, we can add context menu to our table. We know that if we click on any of these options, we can take n number of different actions on top of that button that has been clicked. For example, dispatch search metadata, we have clicked with a value of 10. If you want, we can go ahead and perform a Google search for what is dispatch search metadata. So this is particularly useful if we want to take multiple action per cell where action has to be taken. We can also present Splunk table as a stacked bar chart, and it can have its own tooltip and drill down as well. We can also present table as a funnel chart. If we just sort it, it becomes a pyramid as well. And we will have all the core capabilities like access to coloring the table cell, or else creating a drill down if we have to. One more example of such case is we can use Splunk tables as tiles. This is particularly useful when we've got a lot of hosts that we are trying to monitor and we've got very limited space. Even with hundreds of hosts with regular, we are not able to show them properly. We have to scroll down a lot. Even if we have done KPI descending, we can actually see the top ones that we are interested in. But what if this becomes 500? And still we have to scroll down a lot. So what we can do is we can just use the CSS extension, convert it to a smaller tile. We can click on it to see the details, or else we can also hover over these to get the details. Again, taking it further, one more example that I have is using tables as slider in your dashboard. Now let me increase the speed. Here, slow means 20, medium means 10, and fast means 5 seconds. And then it just scrolls between various KPIs. This particular use case is really useful if you've got something like a mock kind of dashboard where you don't want users interaction. You can just set all these settings the way you like, and then have it on a dashboard where it scrolls through all these panels continuously, rather tables continuously, and it doesn't occupy a lot of your space. Those were some of the examples I wanted to talk about today. So that's all. Thanks for listening. See you next time.